Hello, lovelies. My name's Pearl, and today we're going to be working with the heart chakra. Now, I'm a little excited about the heart chakra just because the heart chakra is unique in that it is a bridge between the lower parts of our existence, the more earthly realms, our more physical manifestations of energy, and starting to open the door into these higher realms of existence, more connected to source, more connected to spirit, and a little bit more moving into this other realm of existence. And while we work with the heart chakra today, I would love for us to hone in on the symbolism, which is love, compassion, openness throughout the practice. So before we begin our practice, just identifying two areas in your life. One area in which you are experiencing a great deal of love, or maybe just a normal amount of love, and another area of your life in which maybe could use a little bit more love. So that's either giving or receiving for both of those scenarios. So just take a moment to yourself, identify one area which is balanced in love, and that can be in compassion, that can be in openness, that can be in actual like love with another person, and another area in which just needs a little bit more attention, a little bit more work, and not judging either one of these positions. So not over congratulating yourself for the positive balance, and not berating yourself for the area in which needs a little bit more attention. So just for a moment, close your eyes and just connect into that space, and just know that this is always a fluctuation of energy, and our practice is in observing it and seeing inward where there is energetic blockages, and also where energy is flowing and is going well. And as you begin to sit with that, bring your attention into the heart space. So our heart chakra is this area just where the heart is, exactly where you think it is, on the front and back side. So not thinking just into the center here of the heart, but thinking into the surrounding area of it on the front and the back. Sometimes we often refer to space between the shoulder blades as the back door of the heart, and encapsulate this whole area of the chest, so front, sides, back. And let's take a couple of breaths into this space. So not often we are very specifically breathing into just the chest in our yogic practices, but for this moment, close the eyes, sit up tall, give a little bit of space for the chest. So just a very gentle drawing of the shoulder blades back, and then a slow breath in to fill up through the chest. And an open mouth exhalation. So taking another two, just like that, breathing in to fill up the chest, expanding through the lungs, bringing that attention to the whole area of the chest, front, back, sides. And an open mouth exhalation. And one more. And sealing the lips, breathing naturally, and just sitting in that movement of the energy for a moment before we move on to the next thing. Just acknowledging any change, no matter how subtle it may seem. And then for our whole chakra series, we've been working with these chants and also these affirmations and hand gestures as well. So this is our heart gesture here. Let's place the ring finger, the tip of the ring finger, into the base of the thumb, and then the middle finger and the ring finger rest on the tip of the thumb, and then the pinky stays extended. And for whatever reason, this posture feels the most natural to me. It's one of the more complicated ones, in my opinion, but once I'm in it, I feel like it's just right. So feel free to take that if it resonates with you. Try it out, and if you'd like it, then resting it onto the knees, and feel free to do both hands as well if you're participating. And the chant for our heart chakra is yam, so a Y-A-M sound. And we'll be repeating it 3 times. Feel free to just absorb the sound, the vibration, if you are maybe needing to be a little bit more quiet, a little bit more internal in this space. Or if you're feeling open to it, then chanting along with me. So we'll start with a cleansing breath to begin. Let me clear my throat for just a second. Okay. So taking a slow breath in, once again, filling up the belly and the chest. And open mouth exhalation. And we'll take an inhale to chant yam. Yam. Natural breath in and out, and then sitting in that space and that vibration, another couple rounds of natural breath. So feel free to open up through the eyes, release the mudra. And we're just going to open up through the shoulders a little bit. These shoulders kind of almost encapsulate this heart space. So the shoulders are a big portion of working into the heart chakra because they kind of surround it both on the front and the back side. So for a couple rounds of breath, let's take some shoulder circles. So bringing the shoulders up towards the ears and then rotating them back and down. You can let the hands do whatever they want to. And taking 3 in each direction. So once you feel you're complete, just reversing. Just noticing this particular range here without judging it again. Good. So let's make our way into our first posture. So throughout our practice, I'll use props. And of course, if you don't have props, you do not need props. You can do all of these without props. But they're very helpful, especially if you're beginning your practice here with yoga and beginning to open up through the heart space. So first things first, if you happen to have a blanket underneath the knees is very helpful here, just because we'll be on the knees for a little bit. And if you happen to have a bolster is also quite helpful, placing it underneath the chest. I will show you with the bolster first, and then I will show you without the bolster, because I have a feeling most of us don't have this big guy available to us. So first heart opener is literally called melting heart pose, Anahata. So It starts in tabletop position, so knees right underneath the hips, and walking the hands forward. The hips will remain over the knees, and then lowering the chest, the head towards the ground, or onto your bolster. Now, if you have the bolster, amazing, use it. It's a nice support to have. If you don't have the bolster, maybe you have a couple of blocks. The blocks are a nice space to put underneath the chest if you have that, and then also an opportunity to create a little bit more depth. Now, of course, you can do this without props entirely, so just find whatever works for you, whatever is available to you in this moment. And then a couple of options for the arms. So arms can stay extended here, or option to bring palms together and drawing the thumbs to the back of the head and neck. It's a little bit more intense, a little bit of a different stretch here on the outer edges of the scapula. So feel free to adjust as time goes on, but find a little bit of settledness here. Maybe the head relaxes towards the ground. Maybe it touches the ground, maybe it doesn't. It doesn't really matter. Take a couple breaths into the upper part of the chest. Although we're remaining supportive in the shoulders to maintain the posture, they're giving in, they're relaxed. There's just enough tension there to maintain the shape, but melting the heart towards the floor with every exhalation without forcing that to happen. You may notice this might be really intense for the shoulders. Feel free to sit the hips a little further back towards the heels if that's the case for you. And then on the opposite end, maybe you're like, hey, I can withstand a little bit more tension. Then that's the palms together, thumbs to the back of the head scenario. Breathing into that heart space, visualizing this like green, glowing, energetic space all across the chest, on the front, back, and sides of the chest. And let's come into our first affirmation here. If it resonates with you, feel free to adjust it to suit your particular essence in this moment. But the affirmation I'll offer is I am opening. Repeating that mantra, that affirmation to yourself. Just about one more minute here. Last couple deep rounds of breath. Let's take these exhales out of the mouth. One more. really slowly, let's release. So if you have a bend into the elbows, extend the arms. And then slowly begin to bring the chest away from the ground. And then walk the hands underneath the shoulders. You are welcome to remove any and all props out of the equation here. And once that has occurred, I'm just going to take a couple of cat-cows to open up through the shoulders and the spine. So with your inhale, lifting the gaze and the tailbone up towards the sky. And as you exhale, rounding out, really separating shoulders away from each other. And taking two more, nice and slow, between these two spaces. And last one. And so with your inhale, slowly bring it back to neutral. And then with your exhale, slide the legs out to the side. And then come up onto the glutes with the legs out in front of us. Now, if you happen to have a bolster, this is an amazing time to have one. To place it behind the spine here. Now, if you don't happen to have a bolster, chances are you have at least a couple of blankets. Several, hopefully. And you can certainly make this particular shape by either folding up a bunch of blankets like this, kind of wrapping them around each other and kind of creating a similar shape. You can also use this blanket as support for the hips here. We're gonna do like a supported fish pose here. So legs will remain together and we're laying the spine onto the bolster or your stack of blankets. And if you don't have a bolster, you can still do this. It just requires a little bit more work. You can be essentially resting onto the forearms here. And if you have a support for the head, you can maybe stack a couple of blocks and place the head on top of that. But if you have the bolster, it's much more comfy, much more passive, and can allow the chest to open up a bit here. So feel free to take like forearms down into the ground, just like you would for fish pose, maybe even kind of like sneaking the hands underneath the glutes to make this more accurate. Or feel free to have the palms facing up towards the ceiling, maybe even opening up the chest into a T shape and letting the shoulders open up using gravity here. Or maybe some middle space in between those two. So allow yourself to give into any support here. If you are in a little bit more active posture, find the balance between support and relaxation. So don't effort too hard in that. And then as you're here, coming back into the visualization of the heart space, this swirling orb of energy, glowing green, right in the chest. And as you hold this visualization in your mind, coming into our next affirmation, which is my favorite affirmation, which is I am love. So this I am love affirmation is getting to like the root of who we are, our deepest essence here. This energy of love, which creates all things. You are that. breathing energy, prana into this heart space while you repeat that affirmation to yourself. Take a moment to notice any emotions rolling through. And if an emotion wants to manifest in physical form in either sighing or crying or in any way that it naturally wants to come up, give yourself full permission to express that. Let it move past the physical body. And you're here for one more minute. Yeah, last couple rounds of breath. So let's slowly make our way out. Place the soles of the feet into the mat. And feel free to place the hands on the backs of the thighs. Gently pull yourself up and away from the bolster or the ground. And then hands come behind the thighs, maybe even forearms come behind the thighs. And tucking the chin into the chest, leaning back into the shoulders, letting the shoulders separate, and just breathing into that upper back here. And So on the inhale, release, and let's slowly come up. If you did use a stack of blankets or your bolster, let's place that off to the side. And let's make our way back into tabletop position. So back onto the hands and knees. I'm just going to come a little bit further back here with my blanket. And we're going to transition into thread the needle here. Now, I love to take our thread the needle with the upper half of the body and then a child's pose with the lower half of the body. So knees wide, big toes touching. And if this doesn't resonate with you, it's a little too intense on the ankles or the knees, feel free to take it more like your traditional thread the needle, which is knees right underneath the hips and a little bit more elevated off the ground. But if you want to journey along with me for the child's pose, amazing. So before we settle down into it, let's place the left hand underneath the face, whether you're in child's pose variation or tabletop variation. And on the inhale, reach the right hand up towards the sky. So you're opening up the chest nice and wide. Maybe even taking the gaze up towards that right hand. Taking a couple deep rounds of breath here in this big open twist. One more inhale. And as you exhale, taking the right arm underneath the left arm and letting that right cheek meet the mat. Now I'll give a couple of options here for support. Feel free to reach the left hand forward. Feel free to reach the left hand around the back for like a half bind here. Reaching for the top of the right thigh. Another two options, which are my favorite ones, is taking the left hand into the right hand and kind of pulling the right arm a little bit further away from the right shoulder, using a little bit of muscular effort to kind of extend the arms away from the chest. This is going to activate the arms a bit. And last option I'll give is to place the left forearm underneath the forehead. This kind of squares the shoulders off to the mat a little bit more. Also, if you have a tendency to not love this like side-lying position with the head and face, that's a good alternative. But I'm going to take this one because I like this one. And then settling in. Once you've arrived, come back to the visualization. Our chest all around, swirling with energy. Coming into another affirmation here, if it resonates with you, if it's true to you, which is, I am compassionate. So repeating that to yourself 3 times, maybe more. And just drawing attention back to these spaces of affirmation, visualization, when you notice the mind wanders away. Sometimes our affirmations connect us to a story from our past. And try to remain present with the body, present with the existing energy that you are living in. And 1 more minute here. And with your exhalation, place the left hand in front of the face. And on the inhale, right hand reaches all the way back up. So right where we started, it may take a second for everything to get back online, but take your time, breathe nice and deep into the chest. One more. Slowly bring the right hand down into the ground. And let's give our knees and our ankles just a little teeny tiny break before we shift over to the other side. So one by one, just extend the legs behind you, flex the toes. And let's just go right back into it on the other side. So this time, right hand comes right underneath the face, whether you're in child's pose or more tabletop variation. And on the inhale, extending the left hand straight up towards the sky, opening up, maybe gaze shifting to that top hand. Breathing into sensation. One more. And we'll stay for the inhale, and as you exhale, the left arm threads underneath the right. The left cheek meets the mat. Take any one of those variations, right hand reaching forward, right hand reaching behind the back. Maybe right hand into the left hand to pull the arm a little further away, or placing the right forearm underneath the forehead. Now, it's always nice to just mention that you do not have to stay even side to side, so feel free to adjust to this particular side's needs. And acknowledging any differences side to side here. Again, rarely is the body symmetrical, so making sure that we're meeting the body where it's at, gently guiding it towards symmetry, but understanding the complexity of the body, the human life experience doesn't always support symmetry. Just being gentle with ourselves, some compassion for our body, some love for our body for all the things that it can do. And a mindful breath to the back of the shoulder blade. Maybe come back to the affirmation of I am compassionate if it resonates with you, or maybe identifying something similar. And softening any edges here. And one more minute. And coming up on the last round of breath. With an exhale, place the right hand next to the face. On the inhale, reaching the left hand all the way back up. It takes a little bit of time to make the transition. Move slowly, breathe in once you've arrived. One more breath. And nice and slow. Bring the left hand down. Good, let's tuck the toes, lift up through the hips, and come into downward facing dog, really getting a good extension through the legs after having the knees bent for so long. Just draw one heel in towards the ground at a time. Maybe move a little bit with the shoulders, get a little bit of energy moving in that space. Yeah, and then with an exhale, slowly lower the knees back down into the floor. And we're going to prepare for our Supta Baddha Konasana, or supported bound ankle pose. Now, like I mentioned, chances are you have blocks over over bolsters. So if you happen to have blocks, let's place the blocks in this kind of T-shaped variation here. The body of the T is a little bit lower than the top of the T. And this block will support the spine. This block will support the back of the head. Now, it's not always an exact match when you land down. Feel free to make adjustments here. And feel free to use your blanket underneath you for support. Now, feel free also to do this without blocks. Sometimes the blocks are a little too intense, and you can still do the same thing without any blocks underneath, and if you don't have them as well as an option. So once you have them set up, lay down, and like I said, it's not always an exact match. You may need to make some adjustments once you've landed down. Most important thing is that this block underneath the spine doesn't go into the low back. It just supports the rib cage. So just checking in where those bottom ribs are, and just make sure that the block doesn't go past that. And then this block, making sure it supports the head, not the neck here. Feel free to adjust the blocks. Some people like to open up through the throat here, so the block is a little bit lower so that the throat can be a little bit more exposed. I'll leave that up to you. And then a butterfly position with the legs, soles of the feet together and the knees wide. And then the arm position here. So for the first couple rounds of breath, let's take these like little snow angels here. So reaching hands out to the side, having the palms face up towards the ceiling, and then extending them up overhead here. And maybe the palms touch up overhead. But keeping the hands as close down to the ground as we can, just finding this kind of nice big open circular motion with the arms. And if this leg position bothers the low back in any way, just keep the soles of the feet into the mat, the knees pointing up. So before we settle into some stillness here, I would love for us to pick just one spot on this circle to like rest the arms. So that could be kind of in this T-shaped, Y shape, maybe this I shape, maybe even interlacing hands so that your arms make like a diamond shape, palms facing up towards the ceiling. If that's a little too intense, then finding something a little lower, closer towards the hips, but try to get as high up towards this head as you can. And then once you're there, just kind of relax into it. So try not to effort too much, and we'll take a couple of cleansing breaths here. So when you're ready, taking a deep breath into the chest, expanding this heart space. And then a big open mouth exhale, relaxing into the shoulders. And so taking another one, deep breath in. Open mouth exhale. Now feel free to linger here for a couple more rounds of breath, maybe even taking some more cleansing breaths here. Maybe even residing here for the rest of the posture. But if/when you've had enough, let's take the hands onto the belly and the chest. So taking right hand to the belly, and I'm going to place my hands somewhere closer to my throat here, just because my mic is it's literally on my heart space. So resting hands in this particular space. And while our hands are resting onto the belly and the heart, acknowledging the breath, the heartbeat, and also practicing gratitude for these two things, just this ever moving energy of breath and blood pumping through our veins. This life force, our very existence, all thanks to these two things working together. And as you're here, maybe you've already stepped into your visualization. As you're here, just coming into this space of feeling love. So earlier, I've had you identified some space in your life in which love, compassion, opening is going very well for you. So come into that space now. And not only identify it with your mind, but come into the feeling of it, the embodiment of it. What would it be like to be experiencing love right now in this moment? And have that energy circulate through the body, maintaining it within the body, directing it towards yourself. And then I'll offer one affirmation if it rings true for you. I am loving myself more and more each day. Sitting with that energy, continue to cultivate that energy. We'll be here for just one more minute. And last full round of breath. And then slowly starting to make our way out. Feel free to first bring the soles of the feet into the mat if they're not there yet. Ooh, a nice little hip opener. And then a couple different ways you can get out. You can get out the way that we kind of came out of our supported fish pose earlier, holding onto the backs of the thighs, pulling yourself up, or feel free to roll over to the side. Take a moment, kind of compressing the heart into itself. But this time, let's hug the knees right into the chest. Let's wrap the arms around the front of the knees, getting compressed here. And then one more time, leaning the shoulders back, separating shoulders away, tucking chin to chest, taking a couple rounds of breath to the upper back. On the inhale, let's slowly lift ourselves, release the bind. And then turning to any props that we may have there and placing those off to the side. You can even remove the blanket out of the equation as well. Maybe have it handy as we get a little closer to Shavasana. But we'll make our way down onto the back. So, however is the easiest way to get there, and then hugging the knees into the chest, taking a little rock side to side, just massaging the whole back body, including the backs of the shoulders, the space between the shoulder blades, the back door of the heart, just kind of like Noticing this line of pressure moving along the back body. And then with exhalation, let's lower the knees over. Let's do the left side first. So let's lower the legs over to the left. And the knees can be relatively close to the armpit. Feel free to keep the left hand onto the outside edge of the right ankle. And then extend the right arm out onto the ground. Now it can be directly out in like a T shape. You can also make the bicep come a little closer towards the ears, so you're opening up through the pec muscle, side of the chest here a little bit more. And shifting the gaze over towards the right side of the room as well, so away from the knees, and then closing the eyes. Breathing some length into the spine, and with the exhales, just allowing softness to come over the body. Just drawing the awareness internal. Be coming back to our heart gesture mudra. Tip of the index finger to the base of the thumb. Middle and ring finger to the tip of the thumb. And noticing if there's any space in which you may be holding on to that doesn't necessarily need to be there. And one more minute here. And last full round of breath. And slowly roll onto the back. And in between sides, it's like a happy baby pose. So you're welcome to hold on to the backs of the thighs, the shins, or the feet. And just take a little rock side to side in between, separating knees from each other. I let go of my foot accidentally. Let's bring the knees together and then lowering the knees over to the other side. Might be helpful to kind of scoot the hips a little over to the left first. Feel free to place the right hand on the outside edge of the left knee. And then extending that left arm straight out into a T shape, maybe a little bit more like a Y shape. If the arm is really hovering off of the ground, there's quite a bit of space in between the arm and the floor. Feel free to support it, or bring the hand a little lower down towards the hips. Shifting the gaze over towards that hand, settling in, breathing into the length of the spine. Relaxing the face, relaxing the jaw. And even though we're making our way towards the end of our practice, still paying attention to the energy that moves here. It is subtle because we're mostly in stillness, but there's so many little pockets of compression and tension. Allowing the stillness to offer you perspective that maybe you don't necessarily connect to. Maybe the stillness is allowing you to see where there are spaces of some holding on. Where there's opportunity for letting go. One more minute here. Coming up on the last round of breath. And slowly rotating onto the back. Hugging knees to the sides of the ribs, squeezing it in. Maybe another happy baby pose, maybe just compressing. Little rock side to side. And then from here, coming into Shavasana, extending the arms and legs onto the ground. I'm going to take this blanket on top of me just for a little bit of warmth here. You're welcome to take very traditional Shavasana. Maybe shoulder blades come closer in towards each other behind the heart so that the chest is nice and open towards the sky. You're welcome to keep the knees bent. Or maybe if you have the option of taking legs up the wall, that's a nice restorative posture that can help integrate the energetic movement of this practice. And finding something that you can fully, truly give into. Physically resting the body while maintaining active conscious awareness and residing in the heart space here. Allow the body to rest, fully giving in. And let's begin to slowly deepen the breath. Just connecting into the heaviness of the body. How the body meets the mat. And I'm beginning to integrate some movement here. Maybe some wrist circles. Maybe the feet wiggle. I suggest a full body stretch. Just opening up through the side body. Take your time. Take a slow, approach up to seated, feel free to roll over to one side. Maybe even rocking and rolling up to seated, whatever makes the most sense for you in this moment. And then we will meet in a seated position. Maybe the blanket is underneath your sit bones. Settling into the sit bones with a gentle lift of the heart towards the sky here. So that will just naturally let the shoulders come back a bit. Allowing crown of the head to extend to the sky. And we'll complete our practice with our chant of Yam one more time. Feel free to take our heart gesture mudra one more time. Take a cleansing breath first. Deep breath in. Open mouth exhale. Taking an inhale to chant Yam. Yam. Place the palms together, bring the thumbs into the center of the chest. I always like to come into this energetic symbolization of thumbs pressing into the heart and letting the rest of the fingers kind of point away from the heart, allowing the heart to be a conduit for sending messages up into the ether, up into space. So connecting into the heart space and maybe connecting into some deep heartfelt desires here that we wish to either impart for ourselves, for others, for the world, for the universe. Just allowing this like symbolic gesture of the hands be a direct link from inside to outside. So coming into these deepest desires that our heart has, connecting into that. Letting that desire come from the internal space of the body and emanating it out into the world, sending that energy not only into the room you're in, the building you're in, but beyond that into the town, the state, the world, all the way out into the solar system, the universe. Let it expand far beyond the body. And we'll share one final breath together. So exhale your breath out first. Deep breath in through the nose, filling up the heart. And letting all that breath go. I loved this practice. Thank you so much for joining me. I am so excited that you made it all the way to the end. I will see you for the next video for our throat chakra. I hope you have a lovely day. I will see you next time.